What I got here is a 4-core 8-threaded first generation LGA 2011 Xeon that my friend gave it to me from a dumpster for free. Let's cue up the intro and see how it performs in 2023. This video is sponsored by me, so if you enjoy the content and you're looking for a gaming computer and you live locally to me, then click on the description below and check out the computers I have for sale. Now let's get into the content. This is the E5-1620 Sandy Bridge EP Xeon CPU for the LGA 2011, aka the X79 platform. It's built on the 32nm architecture and was released all the way back in Q1 of 2012. It's got 4 cores and 8 threads, a base clock of 3.6 GHz, and a turbo up to 3.8 GHz. This chip will set you back around $15 on AliExpress and the used market. And in order to see how this chip fares in 2023, I went on AliExpress and ordered an MATX X79 motherboard for just 75 Canadian dollars, which in my opinion should only cost around 50, since they are technically refurbished chipsets soldered onto a new PCB. One good thing about X79 is that it uses DDR3 RAM, which is why I am using this kit of 16GB clocked at 1600 MHz. And if the used market around you is not crazy, it should set you back around 20 to 30 Canadian dollars, or 30 to 40 dollars brand new on Amazon. That is if you want non-ECC RAM, but if you don't mind, you can find 32GB of ECC RAM on AliExpress for around 30 Canadian dollars. And if you wait for a sale, you could probably find a 64GB kit for around 40 Canadian dollars. Then with the 1TB Glowway NVMe slotted in as the boot and test drive, along with attaching a $25 Snowman cooler that blows downwards, which helps cool the VRM a little bit, I then was able to create a makeshift test bench with a 650 watt power supply from NZXT. Now, in order to test out the capabilities of the CPU, I decided to test with 2 graphics cards at the same settings in games, and they are the RX 5500 non-XT with 4GB of VRAM versus the RTX 3070 with 8GB of VRAM. Now, before we get to the gaming benchmarks, here is a Cinebench R23 multi-core score, which is 3469, and this shows us that it's very similar to an i7 2600 in workload situations. Just a quick reminder that all the tests will be done without the inspector security measures disabled, as it will only help with the 1% lows for Xeon CPUs, and because I wanted to see how it performs out of the quote-unquote box, although I will have it disabled when I am selling it in a gaming PC. In Cyberpunk, with the built-in benchmark at the low preset, it was able to achieve more than 60 FPS on both cards, but the minimum average was horrendous. But a V2 Xeon should be able to alleviate this problem. In Rainbow Six Siege at the low preset but with the FX8A, the performance difference between these two cards are basically the performance between a 4GB and an 8GB RX 580. Next up, in Vermintide 2, with the lowest preset at DX12, both cards got the same average FPS. With this result, I would say that a GTX 1070 is the maximum I would pair up with this CPU. Now in Hogwarts Legacy at the low preset, I got a surprising result between the two cards, which makes no sense, but I guess this game is AMD optimized, right? Next up, in SpiderMan Remastered at the low preset, I was able to get a smooth playing experience on both cards because both of the 1% lows are above 30 FPS. I decided to test Fallen Order instead of Survivor because price and optimization diff, and so at the medium preset I would say it's a decent experience regardless of the 1% lows because it's not a fast-paced game. Then I benchmarked this game that everyone claims is their favorite because they can't afford a real game. Although the average FPS looks pretty promising, the 1% lows tell a different story. When tested in Fortnite at the Pro settings, I got another surprising result where the RX 5500 actually performs better both at average FPS and 1% lows than the 3070. While playing Warzone 2.0 at the balance preset on both of the cards, I got a pretty similar FPS average and 1% lows, and as you can see, the CPU bottleneck is unreal. when it was time to test Overwatch 2 at the low preset with no FSR, I got pretty decent averages between the cards, except for the 3070 where the 1% low is significantly better. With the final game Apex Legends at basically low-medium settings, I was finally able to get a significant different average FPS between the two graphics cards with this Xeon CPU. And that was the free Xeon E5-1620 CPU. Overall, I would say that for under 10 Canadian rupees, it's honestly not that bad of a little, or actually big chip, especially once I disabled the inspector security stuff and went back to test with the RX 5500, which did help a lot with the low percentage FPS. But with that said, if you liked the video, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you didn't, still give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and comment down below on your thoughts on this Xeon CPU.